Teaching number 195. Hear my lesson, beloved disciples. Through the inspiration of the spokesman my word full of teachings comes to you. As you feel it, you recognize that it is an effective force of virtue, balm and regeneration. In its essence, you have a glimpse of the life of the Spirit. Do not think that it is enough for your Master to simply to be surrounded by you. There is something more you must do that would truly please me, that is to settle the debt you have contracted with me, that you have not yet resolved. It is an account that has weighed upon you throughout the stages in which you have come to dwell on earth. That is why in the caress of my word, you feel the call, in its love you find a commandment, and in its essence, a law. Your mind is sometimes confused and rebels against this fulfillment, and that debt can only be recognized by your spirit, but if you lean towards the satisfactions of the earth, spiritually you will be an outcast. I want my disciples to be firm in their faith and convictions, so that they are not among those who say they believe in my word and follow me, but when they feel the sands of the desert burning their feet, are afraid to continue the path fearing that they are leaving the riches of the world. These are merely hypocrites that have not yet become disciples. Do not expect to find this path strewn with roses, rather anticipate it full of thorns. It is the same path that Jesus followed, it is the one that leads to the top of Calvary. My word is what guides you so that you do not stumble. This is the time when all of the faculties of intellect and spirit receives my light. Religions and doctrines will reach complete clarity and you will be surprised when you see the steps of spirituality that your brothers take without having heard this word. Watch over the peace of the world and recognize that my charity has kept you safe from war. Truly I tell you, that despite your admiration and love for my word, you have not given it the full value it deserves, but the generations of tomorrow will come and they will be amazed and will feel overwhelmed with reverence and respect before the books that will be written. You are those who I found asleep in the bosom of various religions, and even though they are all paths that lead to the same end, I wanted to come to show you once again the shortest path. Be satisfied, beloved children, and live in peace. The moment is getting closer and closer when I will stop giving you my teaching, these beautiful hours lessons that you received for so long through human understanding. I have wanted you to be prepared so that nothing surprises you, so that the enemies of my work find in you, my witnesses, the invincible strength of faith, so that you will have the absolute certainty that you are not alone, that I am close to all my children. Today a force arises from your being that lifts you up to work, it is the conscience that intimately speaks to you. In material matters, it is the force of the law that tells you how to behave. In the spiritual, my law is of universal love and is manifested in the air you breathe, in the worlds that revolve around you and in all of creation. Everything vibrates to the rhythm of that law. If inferior beings are born, grow, and sink back into the bosom of nature, it is because they live within the law without knowing about it. And why does man, endowed with the light of the Spirit, with conscience, intelligence and will, deviate so many times from the path marked by my law? It is because while some forget the Father, others form an erroneous concept of me, limiting me under forms imagined by man and forgetting that I am essence and power and everything is under my will. When he tries to analyze creation in good faith, in which the power of God is manifested, he observes the seed and becomes engulfed in the mystery that it contains, he sees it emerge from the earth turned into a plant, he studies the different species and even when their virtues are different, they all feed on the same breast, the earth. The seed is a symbol of life, multiplication, transformation and evolution. And if in such a small creature you can contemplate the image of the Creator, what will it be when you observe man, the cosmos or study the Spirit? See that there is no precise form under which you can imagine your God. I am in everything, the same in the spiritual and eternal, as in material nature. I am life, space and light. I am the remedy for all ills that man can find. In the spiritual there is an antidote for all evil that afflicts the spirit, just as in nature man finds through science the remedy for his bodily ills. If you analyze, you will find that the infinite perfection of the Father is manifested in the different kingdoms. Your imagination and your curiosity sometimes go beyond what touches your world and you wonder if there are beings in other worlds and if they have a life and an evolution similar to that which you have on earth. Study and practice my teaching and when the time is right, you will know the mystery of the life of the stars. It is up to man, through his merits, to tear that veil. It is up to him to continue his path of evolution, so that his eyes may finally be able to contemplate whatever is my will and illuminate the minds of his brothers. Truly I tell you that it will not be possible to climb up there without tripping. It is necessary to ascend step by step, otherwise, the human mind would go crazy and nothing would be understood. That is why I have allowed you to reach your evolution little by little, at the rate of your development. From the great struggles man takes the light and makes new discoveries for the advancement of humanity. But man forgets that all his advances are due to someone more powerful than himself and that in his mind he is receiving the light of the Creator, which is wisdom. It is pleasing to see you grow in science, but in truth I tell you, you should work more for the spirit than for matter. For this I am giving you a revelation that forms in you a real concept of beings, both spiritual and human, and that in its simplicity contains the knowledge that opens the way for a better life. That life you will not see with the eyes of your body, but you can announce these lessons to those who will live here tomorrow. Now you see only wars and you claim that it is God's punishment, when I have taught you that God, who is Father, does not punish, that events happen because men have caused them for themselves. What has caused the fury of the elements? All by the lack of harmony in which men live with the nature that surrounds them. Man will come to recognize the evolution to which his spirit is subjected to in order to sense his degree of advancement or delay, to seek the way to achieve his true progress. He will understand that he should not confine himself to living for himself, nor only take into consideration the earthly life. Then he will turn his eyes in search of my law, of that which since Moses I delivered to humanity and so on, analyzing, men will come to the knowledge of the doctrine that I have revealed to you at this time and they will understand that it is universal. My children, unite. This knowledge that you are acquiring, spread it among your fellow men. Don't just meet in these assembly halls, go to the countryside, to the mountains, there I will manifest myself among you. You call this century, the century of light, but I tell you, you do not call it so only because of the inventions of men, but because the light of the Holy Spirit has been poured out on all understanding, opening to humanity the path that leads to a higher life, the spiritual life. My word of this time will serve for the man of tomorrow to develop his spirit and his understanding. How great will be the capacity of those to understand and analyze. That is why I come with my word of light to prepare the new generations and to tell you that you also prepare the way. Study this lesson, practice it and you will have peace in your heart, eloquence on your lips and conviction in your words. Beloved disciples of the Master, come to me. I have come to you once again, responding to your call, because I see your desire to prepare yourselves. Humanity has made a tradition of these days, to remember those who no longer belong to this world. The human imagination has tried to form an idea of the place where those beings are and of the life that surrounds them. And in the longing for them to enjoy eternal peace, they think they look at them at the right hand of the Father, enjoying themselves in His grace. They are far from reality, however you, to whom I have revealed so many realities of that life, although you see that among humanity there are various concepts of spiritual life, be united in spirit with everyone, it is enough for you to know that everyone feels the spiritual vibration. The time will come when you can open before your brothers this book that I am entrusting to you, so that you may transmit this knowledge from heart to heart. The goal of every spirit is to merge into divinity after purification and perfection. That is why I flood your path with light and give strength to your spirit, so that you climb step after step. According to the elevation that you possess when you leave this earth, it will be the spiritual home that you inhabit in the afterlife, because the universe was created as a school of perfection for the spirit. When you finish your mission here and you no longer have to come, your spirit will go to inhabit another realm, from where you will watch over and work for the peace and progress of men. Step by step you will penetrate the Arcanum, and as the spirit penetrates itself, it will feel greater attraction towards good, and this will bring it even closer to the divinity. Beings that are wandering in space, struggling to reach the light of a higher existence, they are those who preserve the miseries and influences that matter and terrestrial life left in them. They struggle between the two forces that attract them, the spiritual and the material, because they still feel the attachment and love for the satisfactions of this world. Seek those beings with prayer, because their light and strength are not yet enough to break the chains that tie them to what they left behind. Watch over them, and of those who have overcome the world and death, do not be concerned for them. They belong to a completely different realm, and all the experience they have gathered on the journeys of their lives, they turn into light, to inspire you from there. They are your intercessors, your guardian angels, those who work for the good of all. Be aware of them and love them. There are also enormous legions of beings in the spiritual who do not know where to go, or what to think, or what to do. They are those who have recently left this world and have not yet felt the awakening of their latent faculties and powers. Pray for them, that your spiritual voice will resonate in their spirit and will awaken them so that they can find the path that Jesus traced for them from the world with his word and his blood on the cross. And while these days are mourning, for the world, because it mourns the loss of loved ones, for those who know the life of the Spirit, there can be no mourning, but rejoicing, because they know that those who have departed from this world, by emancipating themselves from matter, they have achieved liberation and have taken another step towards the peace that perfection gives. To you I say, do not be in a hurry to enter the spiritual valley to start taking steps of perfection on the path. In matter, from this earth, you must aspire to that perfection. Discover in your matter, in this world and in the life that surrounds you, despite its bitterness and its vicissitudes, endless opportunities to make merits for the advancement of your spirit. Matter is only the temporary clothing of the spirit, from which it changes as many times as necessary for its experiences, its evolution or expiations. He who still does not understand this law of divine justice is a child. You would not be spiritualists if you doubted the law of reincarnation, because it is a fundamental knowledge that reveals itself to many and is confirmed within those who had a presentiment or intuition about it. In that law there is a reason and a justice as clear as light. But whoever has faith in this lesson and stands up to explain it, will teach that matter is the envelope or clothing of the spirit, that this body contributes to the development of the spirit, because it provides the necessary means to manifest and purify itself. The inner fight of spirit and matter, of good against evil, gives opportunity to make merits. The sufferings of the flesh, the unfulfilled desires, are purification for the spirit. One more experience, apparently bitter, but later is translated into light. I do not want to tell you with this, that to purify oneself pain is necessary. How many beings exist in my bosom, whose love has purified without having experienced pain? But it is the destiny of man to suffer, to climb the mountain under the weight of his cross until he reaches his salvation, but do not for that reason despise that body through which you drink so much bitterness, rather love it, because the power of God is also reflected in it, because it is a weak creature for which you are responsible. Take care of it and guide it until the day I determine to ask you for it. If I tell you, love your matter, understand what I mean, because I do not come to awaken in you vanities or selfishness, but also love your spirit, which is the noble and elevated part of your being and part of your own Father. Love it no matter how stained it may be, because even wrapped in darkness, it will never cease to carry within it a spark of my divinity that is the conscience, and always despite everything there will be purity in it, from the moment in which I dwell in each one of my children. But if that light is despised, the spirit in its rebellion will continue without advance and will delay its arrival in the bosom of its Creator. Although my words and my deeds seem to contradict each other, there is no such contradiction in them. I have told you that God is purity and perfection and that your spirit is similar to divinity, but when the spirit has fallen, dragged by the inclinations of matter, stopping in its evolution, it doubts its resemblance to the Creator, considering itself disgusting or impure, despite the fact that the grace and presence of the Father do not depart from it, they just can't be felt. Work for the future of your spirit. Why fear death? But do not leave anything pending so that you do not have to come to purify previous faults or settle debts. May a day not pass without you having done a good deed, so you will be working for your spirit. Do not be fatalistic, affirming yourselves in the belief that your destiny is directly the one that God put on your path, and if you suffer it is because it was written, and if you rejoice it is because it was also written. I have convinced you that what you sow, you will have to reap. But listen well, because there will be times when you will reap the harvest immediately, and at other times, you will come in a new existence to reap and gather your seed. Analyze what I have just told you and you will destroy many misconceptions and confusions about my justice. Understand me and let there be no doubt in your heart, see that through you I will have to teach humanity. But if you declared yourselves powerless to explain such profound mysteries to men, I will make my word flow through your mouth, because the clumsiness of your lips will not be able to hide the greatness of my work. The spirit that comes to understand the path that it must follow, will not be able to depart from it, it will be able to leave this world and enter others, but without ever deviating from the path marked out by its conscience. The unprepared spirit finds dangers in this world as well as in any other. It will lack knowledge that is light, it will not be able to ascend, and then its confusion will make its unhealthy influence felt in others, contrary to those who manage to scale the heights of the spiritual and who by their very elevation become the masters of space, and they make their beneficial influence felt in their brethren. Imitate the latter, aspiring to that world where perfection is the ideal of loving and knowing more about the eternal, from which you sprang and from which you will never leave. My grace extends to all spirits, but while some receive it, others reject it. Whoever is thirsty for love, drink from me, for I am an inexhaustible stream that quenches that thirst. Whoever is lost, let him raise his gaze to contemplate the ray of my light and be guided by it. Whoever sits naked, cover himself with the mantle of my forgiveness and my charity. Whoever has doubts, let him prepare his understanding, for I am wisdom and I will reveal it to him. Let the troubled come to me, where they can find everything, and when they have drunk from the chalice of this love, faith will light up in them. Pray for the world, for those who suffer, and you will reach those who are apparently abandoned. I am the Word, I am the Word, hear me. In the depths of your hearts you ask 1,000 questions. You say to me, Lord, have we not fulfilled your commands? Have we not done good to humanity? Instead of understanding you, have we erred, and will we perhaps lead others to error? No, my children, that is why I am still among you, to correct you and with my teachings prevent you from making mistakes. When you are strong, you will no longer have any doubts or hesitations. Spiritually you are not children, since this is not the first time, nor the first era in which you have inhabited the earth. The light of the sixth seal, which illuminates you at this time, is not the only one that has illuminated your existence. You are developed spirits, evolved on the long path of evolution towards perfection, therefore, do not be confused, rather feel the joy because the Lord is among you, because it is a sign that you can understand and are able to obey me. In the first era the people of Israel were captive in Egypt, where idolatry and paganism reigned. I allowed my people to live and grow in the bosom of those Gentiles to give them proof of my existence and my power through a people who believed in the invisible God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When the hardships and bitterness of slavery had reached their height, I raised from the bosom of the Israelites a man anointed by my grace, in whom my inspiration shone and whom I commanded and spoke thus, Go to your people and save them, who are crushed by chains, humiliations and hardships, rescue them from Pharaoh's yoke, free them and take the road that leads to Canaan, guide them through the desert, because I want that when this people reaches the land that I promise you, they can consecrate themselves there with a worship worthy of my divinity. That man was Moses. How did Moses rescue a people from Pharaoh's clutches? Did he put the weapons in the hands of his people? No, his weapon was faith in his Almighty God. When that Pharaoh opposed the wishes of Moses, which were my mandates, I demonstrated to the pagan, that if his reluctance and unbelief were great, my justice and my power were greater. 10 times he ignored my voice, and 10 times I touched Egypt with great trials that bowed the neck and softened the hard heart of that tyrant. Moses raised his people, and taking the desert road, took them to the foothills of Mount Sinai, where he knew he had an appointment with his Lord, and while the people awaited the return of Moses, he, elevated in prayer to the Most High, received from Jehovah the tablets of the law that was to govern the destiny of humanity. The obedient servant received that divine revelation in his conscience and was also prepared to dictate by himself laws for all orders and all acts of human life. And after suffering and battling for a long time in the desert, the people reached the end of their destiny, the Promised Land. There the people built their homes, farmed their land and orchards, formed their families and worshipped their Lord. From the fulfillment of the obligations with the world and the fulfillment of the laws of the Spirit, they made a single worship to elevate him who had given them so many proofs of his love and mercy. But the spiritual worship was still far from perfection. The offerings and tributes were material, their sacrifices were the blood of innocent creatures. Within their human lives they had not managed to act with great morality and justice. The law of retaliation prevailed, which said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and in cases where a woman was caught in adultery, there was a law that condemned her to be stoned to death by the people on the outskirts of the city. Why did the Father allow this at that time? Because humanity was taking its first steps spiritually. Time passed. The first fruits of your fields, the first fruits of your harvests and the blood of your innocent victims that you offered me on the altar, I received them. The traditions of that people were deep, but who would have told them that all that would have to change, that those laws and that worship would have to be transformed? It was not Moses, nor were the prophets who changed those forms and customs. Moses only started the way, the prophets only predicted. It was the promised Messiah, the divine Master, the one who came to wake you up from your sleep, the one who, without ignoring a single commandment of the law received by Moses, came to erase improper traditions and worships of that time, opening a new era of light and wisdom, which would transform the life of humanity. I did not reform the law, only the practice that was made of it. The childhood of that people in the spiritual and was entering adolescence. Then I gave you unknown delicacies to taste and tore away the veil of your ignorance. My entire word was a law condensed in one sentence, love one another. But I announced to you and promised you my new coming as the Holy Spirit, because at that time I did not tell you everything, and from what I revealed to you, you could not understand and interpret everything, and it was necessary that the Spirit of truth come to reveal everything to you. In 1866 my voice was heard for the first time through human understanding and a new time was opened for humanity, the Third Era. From its spiritual adolescence the human spirit passes into its youth. It will take time for it to reach its full maturity and its fruits to be perfect. The doctrine of Christ was spiritual, but man surrounded it with rites and forms to put it within the reach of spirits of low elevation. You have entered the time of the Spirit, that of the great revelations, in which materialization, imposture and imperfection will disappear from all worship, in which everyone, through their spirit, will recognize their God, who is all spirit, and along this path they will discover the form of perfect communication. Since the day I first announced myself, communicating in this way, you have tried to understand the greatness of this work, and you still do not contemplate its depth, nor its intent. Who can say that he has understood it or that he has practiced it perfectly? No one. You are still far from reaching perfection. My law, my work, is Jacob's ladder by which you will come step by step, rung by rung, and as you rise, the closer you will see your Father. When the year 1948 begins, the first of the last 3 in which I will be among you through my word, I want you to rise up courageously, practicing as the Master has taught you, so that in the end, on the day of my farewell, if you want to offer to the Master, who came to teach you for so long, a lofty and loving worship, this will be worthy of your Lord. Before a preparation like that, I will make the call to the world, because I know that you will be able to testify with words and deeds that I was among you and manifested myself and spoke to you. Do you not realize the snares? Do you not look around you at the darkness that for moments prevents you from contemplating the light of the candlestick that illuminates you, which is that of the 6th seal? Do not break human laws, heal the sick with the word, with the prayer and with the fluid. A new stage of good deeds and spirituality opens before you. Scientists will not be able to mock you, human justice will not condemn you, and religions will have to recognize that you possess full spiritual power. You have introduced symbols in your practices, but you must withdraw from them, because that form of worship belongs to the past and the worship of the present and the future is the communication of spirit to spirit. The moment of my departure is approaching in my second coming among men, which if it has been carried out in silence, later it will reverberate to the ends of the earth and move the world to curiosity. It will come to scrutinize the places where the divine word was listened to the messengers who transmitted it and the books that remained. And when they come, how are you going to receive them? You are not going to present yourselves disunited or to show that discord is within you. You are not going to show a disagreeable home, a loveless marriage, or disrespectful and disobedient children. You will not cause disappointment by your lack of fulfillment in spiritual and material duties. What would go through the minds of those, if they found you lacking in spiritual elevation, calling you spiritualists? What would they think if they found you sunk in fanaticism or idolatry? Know, people, that the time is coming when false prophets, false Christs, new churches, new servants arise, therefore watch and pray. Comply with each of your Father's commands, see that my justice is very close to you. This is not a threat or a sentence, it is only a warning. Remember that my justice is perfect and loving. My peace be with you.